Hey, this is Drei, and welcome to the Coffee Breakers Club podcast. This is episode 52 of this podcast, and thank you for joining me. Today, let's talk about my top movies. Bali, ayun nga, no? I'll be listing down my top 25 movies of all time. And this is just based off my personal taste, no? The movies that have been really memorable to me, meaningful, yung talagang mga tumatak sa akin. So, not necessarily the best movies sa mga critics, ganyan, diba? So, don't expect movies na highly acclaimed, ganyan, diba? Or nasa top 100 movies of all time, diba? So, not about those talaga. This is more of my personal taste nga. And there are certain movies kasi na kahit hindi sila ganun kaganda or ka-critically acclaimed, diba? Minsan, because of other factors, tumatatak yung mga movies na to sa atin and nagiging memorable sila sa atin to the point na maging favorite movies natin sila, diba? So, with that disclaimer out of the way, let's start, no? So, I'll be listing down in an ascending order. So, we'll start at the bottom, say 25, and we'll work ourselves to the top. So, number 1, no? So, for number 25, it's 51st Dates, the 2004 movie by Adam Sandler, no? So, I think this is the only rom-com na movie sa listahan ko. And that is for a reason. I don't really like romantic comedies that much, no? And for this one, actually, rom-com siya pero mas comedy heavy siya being an Adam Sandler film, and it's not actually the best Adam Sandler film out there, diba? One can say na yung Wedding Singer o kaya yung pinaka-latest movie niya na for some reason di ko maalala yung pamagat ngayon, pero yun yung mga parang quote-unquote best Adam Sandler movie na for me, itong 51st Dates yung nagustuhan ko na rom-com kasi I really like the premise, no? Gusto ko yung twist ni Drew Barrymore dito na because of a certain condition of hers, medyo naging sobrang interesting ng movie. So, ayun. And I think this is also one of the lowest Rotten Tomatoes rating, no? Sa listahan ko. Pero, it still made my top movies, no? Kahit na ganoon, na hindi siya ganoon ka well received sa mga quote-unquote critics. Pero, gusto ko pa rin siya, no? So, kapag tinanong ako ano yung favorite rom-com ko, ito yung sinasabi ko. Next one, number 24 is Hachiko, A Dog's Tale, 2009 movie naman ito. So I have talked about Hachiko sa mga previous episode ko or at least dun sa dog episode ko, no? Na isa ito sa mga movies na nagpaiyak talaga sa akin na sobrang galing kasi parang at least a third of the movie, parang sinusundan mo lang yung journey ni Hachiko doon sa paghihintay niya. So, there's not a lot of dialogue there, diba? Pero, kahit na ganon, naging heavy pa rin yung movie, no? And it's not that, yung production value niya, hindi rin ganun kataas kung iisipin, no? I think it's a low-budget film, pero it's still delivered, no? So, yun yung 24th movie ko. In the 23rd spot, it's The Cabin in the Woods, 2011. So for this one, this is one of the movies na sobrang na-shock ako or very surprising yung plot para sa akin. Kasi watching it, I didn't expect it to turn that way. Yung naging twist niya and yung pinaka-premise ng movie. Sobrang kakaiba. Sobrang taas ng shock factor nitong movie na to sa akin. So, yeah. And it's horror, no? Horror siya pero merong bits of comedy sprinkled throughout, no? So it's a really good movie. Number 22 is Shutter Island 2010. This is the one that stars Leonardo DiCaprio, no? And isa din to sa mga mind-bending movies na napanood ko. So, isa to sa mga movies na at least twice mong mapanoorin para ma-appreciate and ma-digest talaga yung story, no? Kasi yung first viewing mo, talagang maano ka, parang malilito ka or you'll be questioning a lot kasi you are not really paying that much attention to it. And then, nung lumitaw na yung twist, yung climax, parang kailangan kong balikan yung mga scenes na to kasi andun yung mga clues, no? Pero, ang ginawa ko nun is, after my first viewing, binalikan ko na lang kaagad yung mga specific scenes na gusto kong balikan to be sure, no? ng pagkakaintindi ko dun sa movie na to. Parang ganyan. So, yun. Shutter Island. Number 21 is Ip Man 2008. So, this is the first of the Ip Man saga, no? Or the Ip Man franchise. Pero, yes. Ito yung I think, ang setting nito is during the Japanese occupation sa China, no? So yes, this is a martial arts movie, a kung fu movie, starring Donnie Yen. Johnny Yen ba o Donnie Yen? Basta pangalan niya Donnie, no? Si Ip Man. So it's a traditional kung fu movie, no? About Bruce Lee's kung fu master, pero it is done very nicely, no? Na sobrang pasok sa panlasa ng mga makabagong manonood. Parang ganun. Modernong manonood. So, yun. Ip Man, number 21. Number 20 is Forrest Gump, a 1994 movie. So, it stars Tom Hanks, no? And I think this is one of his more memorable performances in movies. Parang isa ito sa mga roles niya na sobrang kilala siya, no? So, it follows the story, no, from birth until adulthood ng character na Forrest Gump. And there's a lot of people na kasama din to sa mga favorite movies list nila. So that speaks volume of how good this movie is, no? And I agree. Forrest Gump, number 20. Number 19 is Avengers Endgame 2019. So, pumasok ito at nilampasan pa niya yung Forrest Gump just because of the magnitude of this movie. Yung naging journey natin papunta sa movie na to. Parang it started in 2008 galing sa pinakaunang Iron Man film, and then after 10 years or more than 10 years, nag-arrive tayo dun sa pinaka ultimate superhero movie so far. And sobrang big deal nito kasi as a superhero fan or comic book fan, it was something na sa mga panaginip lang or sa mga pangarap lang supposed to be mangyari yung ganitong klaseng movie. But Disney and Marvel pulled it off beautifully, and they delivered more than what is expected. And because of this movie, parang lahat posible na in terms sa mga superhero movies, no? Na kumbaga ito yung climax ng mga superhero movies, no? But I don't expect it to die down anytime soon. Parang it's still going upwards, no? So ayun, Avengers Endgame at 19. Number 18 is Akira 1988. So I think this is the first animated movie sa listahan, 'di ba? And on top of that, it's a Japanese animation, no? And It's an adaptation of a very famous manga in Japan, and then yun, they made an animated film out of it. And the plot is quite complex, no? Ang hirap niyang sabihan ng synopsis, pero sobrang influential ng movie na to, lalo sa westerners, no? Sa North America and whatnot, na isa ito sa mga nagpakilala kung ano yung Japanese animation, no? And its potential and capabilities. Na isa ito sa mga naging gateway para sa mga na magkaroon ng mga fans yung Japanese animation sa North America, parang ganyan. So number 17 is Ex Machina 2015, na ito pinanood ko siya kasi this is a movie na hindi masyadong known, no? It wasn't even shown in theaters ata dito sa Pilipinas. Actually, nakita ko lang siya because of a YouTube movie review, no? Parang ni-review siya ng isa sa mga favorite kong movie reviewers sa YouTube, and then naging interesado ako. And then once I watched it, I totally agree dun sa review no, na sobrang okay ng movie na to. So it follows a story where AI robots are a thing, and ayun, it follows two individuals na tao, and then having interaction with a super advanced AI robot, na in total there are only 3 characters in this movie, and it was shot in just a house, no? So siguro low to average yung amount of budget used for this movie, pero yung payoff sobrang sulit, no? Parang ang meron siyang pagka-indie vibe Parang habang pinapanood ko siya, parang nanonood ako ng indie film, parang ganun. And this is one of the movies na I actually recommend, no? Kasi yun nga, hindi siya mainstream, no? Hindi siya usual. So pretty much most of the times, isa siya sa mga movies na hindi pa napapanood ng mga tao. And then yun, kaya siya yung nire-recommend ko madalas. So yun, Ex Machina at 17. Number 16 naman is King Kong, yung 2005. I think this one stars Jack Black and Naomi Watts, kung di ako nagkakamali. Siya yung damsel in distress. Pero yes, this is the one that is directed by Peter Jackson. And yeah, sobrang favorite ko din yung movie na to, na minsan I could just watch the fight scenes between King Kong and those T-Rexes, no? Yung parang nilabanan yata niya kundi 2-3 T-Rex na tinalo lang niya. Not easily, pero epically, diba? For this movie, I actually watched it twice in the cinemas back then. And yung second viewing ko, yung mga kasama kong nanonood, inaasar-asar ko sila. Parang I give hints kapag there will be something big that will be shown. Parang ganyan. Yes, I was being an a-hole. No. And next one, number 15 is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World 2011. So, na-discuss ko ito ng konti dun sa comic book episode ko, na it's one of the comic books na gustong-gusto ko rin. And then this is the adaptation of it. And this is one of the few comic book movies na I think done very well, na you can't actually ask for more, kumbaga, or it can't be done differently, kumbaga, or it can't be done better than this. Parang ito na yung pinaka okay na adaptation out of this source material, no? So yung main protagonist na to is starred by Michael Cera, no? And yeah, it's a film for, I guess, a more modern or younger audience. Mas ma-appreciate ito ng mga millennials, I think, kasi yung mga Easter eggs, yung mga references, no? And yung style is, I think, mas pasok sa panlasa natin. So, ayan, Scott Pilgrim, no? Number 15. Number 14 is Memento, 2000. So, this is a Christopher Nolan film, no? And it follows a guy na merong condition na parang siyang goldfish na nalilimutan niya yung mga nangyayari sa kanya after some time, no? And that what makes this interesting kasi he's actually investigating something, no? And kung investigator ka, parang sobrang hirap kung nalilimutan mo yung mga nagiging conclusions mo at the end of the day, 'di ba? To follow this trail or that investigation. So, ayun, sobrang cool and interesting nung plot, 'di ba? Number 13 naman is Three Idiots, no? 2009. So, this movie is about 3 engineering students, no, in India, and following their story in achieving their, say, dreams. Na ito yung movie, no, na sobrang nag-inspire ng maraming engineering students din, or students in general, no, trying to survive college life, parang ganun. And nung lumabas ito, saktong college din ako, no, and then sakto na nasa engineering realm sila, so sobrang relate kami, no, and the message of the movie is really quite strong that it became an inspiration then, no, on trying to survive nga or trying to achieve, no, our engineering dreams, parang ganun. Pero ayun nga, hindi naman siya engineering focused lang. So I think the message or the lesson is quite universal naman. So ayan, no, Three Idiots at number 13. Number 12 is The Matrix, 1999, no? So I think this movie needs no explanation why it's good, no? Pero yung pinaka takeaway ko sa movie na to is parang is this real life, 'di ba? parang naging philosophical tayo, or naging paranoid yung iba kung tunay ba yung mundo na ginagalawan natin, no? So very epic, The Matrix. Number 11 is WALL-E, 2008. This is the Disney Pixar movie, no? Na I think this is the first CGI animated movie sa listahan, no? WALL-E. And yeah, I really like that cute robot, no? And his journey finding his true love, 'di ba? Robot nagka-girlfriend, 'di ba? So anything is possible. So this is the only Pixar movie sa listahan ko. So there won't be another Pixar film in the list, no? So ayun, by default ito yung pinaka-favorite na Pixar movie ko, no? WALL-E. And that leads us to number 10. So this is my top 10 movies, no, of all time. Na syempre, since hindi pa naman tapos yung lifetime ko, so there will be changes naman down the line. Pero at this moment in 2020, ito yung top 10 movies ko. Starting at number 10, The Truman Show, no? 1998 naman yung movie na to. And it stars Jim Carrey. So, having Jim Carrey, parang akala ko dati, lang to, comedy, no? It's in comedy film, pero hindi pala, no? Buti na lang, tinry ko siyang panoorin way back. And I think napanood ko siya sa TV lang, no? I think sa TV ko lang to napanood. And I'm glad that I watched it. Kasi ang ginawa ko nun, after ko siya mapanood sa TV, nirent ko yung bala pa rin sa Video City para panoorin the second time. And it has the same feels nung halimbawa The Matrix, ganun, na na it questions your reality. Parang ganun, no? So, yun, The Truman Show. Number 9 is Blade Runner 1982. Now, this one, I think I just watched it quite recently, no? I think mga 2017, parang ganun. Or at least before kung pinanood yung Blade Runner 2049 ba yun? Basta yung yung sequel niya. Doon ko lang pinanood yung Blade Runner and I'm glad that I did kasi do alam kong very influential yung movie na to, and it's actually one of the movies na laging nasa top movies list ng ibang tao, no? But I lack the enthusiasm or interest in watching it dati. And then once I did, ayun, skyrocket kaagad papunta sa top 10 ko. Parang ganun. And ayun, I can't recommend it enough, itong Blade Runner na to. Number 8 naman is The Dark Knight 2008. So another Nolan movie, but this time it's a superhero movie, diba? Batman. And this is the one that starred Heath Ledger as the Joker, no? So with that, I think that's enough information or justification kung bakit andito to sa top 10 list ko, no? Dark Knight at number 8. Number 7 is Seven Samurai 1954, no? So ito yung pinakamatandang movie sa listahan ko, and it's actually a Japanese black and white movie, no? And I think this is a 3-hour movie then, or more than pa, no? But yes, this is one of those very old movies that I could still recommend, no? Sobrang epic ng movie na to, na if you're fan of parang westerns, mga ganon, kailangan nyo din itong itry kasi parang parehas yung feel niya, no, ng movie na to, though it's a Japanese film. So ayun, at number 7, Seven Samurai, diba? Napaka-fitting. And going to number 6, it's How to Train Your Dragon 2010. So this is the first one, but I could say na the whole trilogy as one is nasa number 6 position ko sa top 10 movies of all time ko. And aside of it being a very good movie, no, a very excellent one at that, is dumagdag pa yung factor na nung pinanood ko siya sa sinehan is there was no expectations or even background knowledge of what this movie is about, ganun, no? So I went in blindly and then went out very happy and satisfied na one of the purest movie experiences ko. So dahil doon, andun siya sa number 6, diba? And to the point na nilampasan pa niya yung Wall-E, diba? Na kapag pinag-uusapan kasi mga CGI animated films, no, parang matik na si Pixar kaagad yung may isip natin na top dog. Na totoo naman, ang daming Pixar movies na sobrang epic, like Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Up, ganyan. Pero para sa akin, mas maganda pa rin yung How to Train Your Dragon, no? So halfway sa top 10 ko at number 5 is Grave of Fireflies 1988. So another Japanese animated film, no? Pero this time around, and ito yung movie na once ko lang pinanood and mananatiling ganon na once is enough for this movie, and that is because it's a very heavy movie na I don't want to subject myself to that feelings anymore, no? Pero kahit na ganon, number 5 pa rin siya na of movies of all time ko. And interestingly enough, it's produced by Studio Ghibli, no? But it's not a Hayao Miyazaki film, no? It's done by a different director, and actually the story came from a novel, I think, or a light novel, no? So, ayun, Grave of Fireflies. Kung gusto nyong umiyak na sobra-sobra or try nyo panoorin ito, or at least yung mga war movies, ganun, yung mga victims of the war, parang ganun. Try nyo panoorin ito. I think this is the quintessential movie for you. So, number 4 is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring 2001. And like yung How to Train Your Dragon, nilagay ko dito is yung first movie pero it's representative of the trilogy talaga, no? So the whole trilogy is at my number 4th spot. And since sobrang mainstream naman ng movie na to, is I don't think any introductions is required for this movie, pero yeah, Lord of the Rings, no? Parang it defined a whole generation of movies, no? Parang one of the more successful trilogies, no? So ayun. So the third spot goes to Star Wars Empire Strikes Back 1980. Now, ito yung second of the original trilogy, no? Pero ito yung second movie. So parang yung Dark Knight din, 'di ba? Yung second of the trilogy. Pero nilagay ko to specifically parang Dark Knight din nga na it's the best of the 3 movies, no? Na ito yung pinaka-climax, no, ng trilogy talaga. Na very rare na nangyayari, 'di ba? Most of the time sa mga trilogy, either yung first movie, yung pinakamaganda, or yung last, kasi yun yung pinakahuli. It's very seldom na yung pangalawa, yung pinakamaganda. So, ayun. Empire Strikes Back, no? So, andito yung confrontation ni Luke at saka ni Darth Vader. Diba? And I leave it at that para sa mga hindi pa nakakapanood ng movie na to. So, para sa next 2 spots na to, yung number 1 and number 2 ko, they are interchangeable, no? Pwede sila mag-swap ng places, depende sa kausap, no? And depende din sa mood ko kung sino yung number 1 movie of all time ko. Pero for the sake of this discussion, ang nilagay ko sa number 2 spot ko is Pulp Fiction, no? Which is a 1994 movie. For Pulp Fiction, para sa akin, this is one of the most or more perfectly executed films, no, of all time, na ang nagdadala is yung direction, yung dialogue of the movie, soundtrack, as in lahat is perfect for this movie. Yung premise, yung storylines, yung characters, parang a very flawless movie for me, no? And kung ang nagdanong sa akin, no, is alam ko medyo mature yung taste, ganon, or hindi mahilig sa animation. So, clue na yun ng number 1 ko. Pero kung hindi siya mahilig sa animation, ito yung sasabihin kong best movie of all time, 'di ba? Pero kung alam kong mahilig sa animation or mas broad yung taste nung kausap ko, ang sasabihin kong number 1 ko is The Lion King, no? 1994 din. So, ayun, yung number 1 film ko of all time is The Lion King. So, for this one, naging number 1 ko siya kasi because of a reason outside the film itself, no? It's because na it's very memorable to me kasi it's one of the movies na pinanood ko nung bata ako, and then pinanood ko siya ng ulit-ulit talaga kasi meron kaming VHS copy neto. And then it's one of the few movies na para sa amin, meaning para sa mga kids on our household. So in a way, naging no choice din na kaya pinanood ko siya ng ulit-ulit, pero hindi natin madi-deny na isa talaga ito sa mga pinakamagagandang pelikula, no? And there is a whole generation, no, backing up this claim, diba? Na isa nga ito na legitimate yung yung claim na one of the best movies, no? And ayun, by default, ito na rin yung favorite Disney film ever ko, diba? So ayun, sabi ko nga, pwede magbaliktad ng pwesto yung number 1 and number 2 ko. Depende sa mood ko kapag tinanong, parang ganyan. And that wraps up my top 25 films of all time, no? Or top movies of all time. And creating this list is quite difficult talaga. Na since this is one of my favorite pastime, no? Watching movies is nahirapan talaga ako, and I've actually left out a lot of good movies na I think karapat-dapat na mapunta din sa listahan, like Fight Club, Schindler's List, Shawshank Redemption, Pan's Labyrinth. So, that is 4 na kaagad on top of my head right now. So, actually, pwede yata akong gumawa ng top 50, pero that video would be too long, no? So, ginawa ko na lang siya na 25. And, as I've said, hindi ako dumidepende lang kung sobrang critically acclaimed yung pelikula. Yung parang, mas nangibabaw yung yung enjoyment factor ko habang pinapanood, at saka yung circumstances while I'm watching it. Who am I with? Ganon. Saan ko siya pinapanood? Ganon, diba? So, masakto ba sa current disposition ko sa buhay? Ganyan. So, ayun. So, for example, Schindler's List, there's no denying na sobrang ganda ng film na to, diba? Pero, nung pinanood ko siya a few years back, parang, yes, it's really good, pero it didn't hit me like the other 25 films that I've discussed a while ago hit me, parang ganun. And, ayun, every list naman is, very subjective, and I hope, at least naging interesado kayo sa mga movies na discuss ko sa episode na to. And yun nga, I would highly recommend any of the films that I've discussed, including yung other 4 na na-discuss ko or nabanggit ko kanina, diba? So with that, let's go to our 3-in-1 questions. Number 1, ano yung top movie of all time mo? Second one, ano yung favorite Ghibli film or at least Japanese animation film mo? And lastly, meron ka din ba listahan ng top 10 movies mo? Kung meron, can you share it? Ayun, siya nawa. The coffee break is over. Catch you in the next one. Cheers. Hey, this is Drei, and welcome to the Coffee Breakers Club podcast. This is episode 53 of this podcast, and thank you for joining me. Alright, today, let's talk about my top series. TV series, video on-demand series, mga video streaming series, or kung ano-ano pang tawag is, ayan. So, ibibigay ko yung top 15 series ko, no, of all time so far. And a bit of a disclaimer, there won't be any anime series sa listahan na to kasi that one would be discussed separately in the next episode. No? So, andun lahat ng mga anime. Kasi kung ilalagay ko dito yung mga anime series, magiging dominated lang ng mga yung listahan na to. No? So, pinaghiwalay ko. So, most of these series are actually Western-made series, no? And with that out of the way, let's dive in to my number 15. To my number 15 is House of Cards. No? This is the Netflix series. And I think this is one of the more successful series back then, na isa to sa mga naunang pumatok na Netflix original series, no? And it stars Kevin Spacey, no? And his political journey. And I really love this series, lalo na yung mga naunang seasons, no? Nung from bottom, working himself up to say the vice president position, no? I really like that journey. Pero because of some unfortunate real life events, no, surrounding Mr. Kevin Spacey himself, parang hindi nabigyan ng tamang ending, no, itong series na ito, or at least hindi yun yung original plan ending niya kasi nga hindi na nakabalik si Kevin Spacey to do the role anymore, or he wasn't allowed to do it anymore, parang ganyan. So unfortunately, lackluster para sa akin yung mga huling season. So nasa bottom siya ng listahan ko, pero it's still good enough para makasama sa top 15 of all time ko, diba? That's how much I liked the series. Number 14 is a bit of a cheat kasi dalawa yung nilagay ko dito. Pero pantay lang kasi sila para sa akin. So it's a tie between Big Bang Theory tsaka How I Met Your Mother. So ayun, comedy series, no? Big Bang Theory kasi since nerdy din ako, no? And I get almost all of the references that they use except for the science stuff, no? Pero ayun, kaya sobrang na-appreciate ko yung Big Bang Theory. How I Met Your Mother because of Barney, no? Favorite ko si Barney, no? Legendary. So I think halos sabay ito, no? And ito yung time na nahilig talaga akong manood ng mga series, kaya sobrang sinubaybayan ko din sila. Now, to be perfectly honest, kay Big Bang Theory, hindi ko pa siya natatapos. And I don't have any plans in doing so at the moment. Pero it's still enough na napunta siya sa number 14. For How I Met naman, natapos ko naman siya, pero sobrang hindi ko natripan yung ending, no? And I think for most of the fans, or at least yung mga kakilala ko, is hindi rin masyado natuwa dun sa ending. Pero the writers and producers said na yun naman talaga yung plano nilang ending right from the start. So, okay. Pero ayun, hindi ko masyadong trip yung ending. Number 13 is another Netflix series. It's Stranger Things, no? Stranger Things, ang okay dito is similar with Big Bang Theory. There's a lot of references na gusto ko, no? At the same time, para ka nanonood ng 80s style na horror, no? Yung pinaka-vibe niya, diba? Parang Stephen King movie, parang ganun. So yun, Stranger Things, number 13. Number 12 is Young Justice. So Young Justice is superhero animated DC series, no? Pero yung okay dito, it's one of the best representations or adaptations of the characters themselves. And since this is a team superhero series, ang daming mga characters na na-introduce, including my favorite superhero of all time, si Nightwing, diba? And nag-start siya as Robin, tapos naging Nightwing siya. So sobrang epic para sa akin. The next one, number 11, is Daredevil. Again, another Netflix series. Pero out of the, say, Marvel Netflix series, ito lang yung maganda para sa akin. Yung parang okay din yung Jessica Jones, no? Decent naman, pero yung Luke Cage at saka yung Iron Fist, sobrang fail, sobrang flop para sa akin ng series na to. Pero yung Daredevil, sobrang quality niya, 'di ba? And dahil sa kanya, naging decent naman yung Defenders, no? Kung wala siya doon, pangit din yung Defenders. Pero ayun, Daredevil, lalo na yung season 1, sobrang favorite ko yung season 1. Next one, number 10, is Samurai Jack. no? Samurai Jack. Yes, Samurai Jack yung nasa Cartoon Network, no? Or Adult Swim eventually. Pero, ayun, sobrang ganda ng Samurai Jack. And, nung pinapanood ko siya nung bata ako, hindi ko masyadong ma-appreciate. Pero nung medyo tumanda na, dun ko na-appreciate talaga yung Samurai Jack. Sobrang it takes a mature mind para sa akin parang para ma-appreciate siya. And yun yung kinagandahan niya, yung parang pwede mo siyang panoorin kapag bata ka kasi nga parang animated series siya, diba? So parang Dexter's Lab, ganon, Powerpuff Girls, mga ganyan. Pero meron pa rin siyang value kapag tumanda ka na. Kapag pinanood mo siya, it's a different experience altogether, no? So parang 2-in-1 siya. So sobrang taas ng rewatchable factor niya, diba? Number 9 is Firefly. Firefly. Isa to sa mga medyo mas matatandang series na, no? Compared to the other series on this list, no? I think this is early 2000s or at least mid 2000s, and it only lasted 1 season. Isang season lang siya, pero sa sobrang quality niya is pumasok pa rin siya sa list ko, and number 9 at that, diba? So parang space cowboy na series, no? Para siyang Cowboy Bebop, parang ganun. But even though how great it was, how good it was still cancelled, no? Hindi siya kaagad na appreciate kasi ng mass audience, and meron lang siyang few serious or die-hard fans, no? And dahil doon nagkaroon siya ng cult following, no? To the point na because of those die-hard fans, nagkaroon ng feature-length movie to wrap the story up, parang ganan. So nagkaroon ng movie, it's called Serenity. So a series na 1 season long plus a movie. So yun yung yung buong storya. And it's enough for it to be considered as one of the greatest series, at least for me, no? Number 8 is a HBO series. Parang hindi to masyadong sikat Ang title is Game of Thrones. Sobrang mainstream, diba? Yes, Game of Thrones. Up to season 5. Nagustuhan ko lang siya hanggang season 5. Nung ginagamit pa nilang source material is yung books. Pero nung nampasan na nila, dun na nag-start na medyo pumangit yung pacing, yung storytelling. Lalong-lalo na yung last season. Sobrang pangit, sobrang sagwa. Pero, kahit na ganun, no? Number 8 pa rin ang Game of Thrones para sa akin. At my number 7 spot is Westworld. So for Westworld, ang nire-recommend ko lang na panoorin is actually the season 1. Parang, I think meron ng season 2 ngayon. And kung meron pang plans for season 3, pero I think sobrang buo na yung experience just watching the season 1. No? Para siyang isang sobrang habang pelikula. Quality-wise, story-wise, sobrang sulit, no? Nung time na may spend mo sa series na to. Kasi it forces you to ask very philosophical questions, no? Asking what consciousness is, ganon, existence, and whatnot. So yun, panoorin yung Westworld, promise. This is the first one of the bunch na I highly encourage you to watch, no? Number 6 naman is Prison Break. So, similar with Westworld, yung season 1 lang yung nirecommend kong panoorin. I think for Prison Break, umabot ako ng season 4. Pero sobrang para sa akin sobrang pilit na, no? And I think as of the recording of this episode, is meron na plans for season 6. Na, okay. Pero ayun, yung season 1 kasi, yun yung talagang Prison Break na I think binuhos nila doon lahat ng creative juices nila. And they didn't expect it to be renewed next season, so binuhos nilang lahat doon. And it shows, no? Yung season 1 ng Prison Break. At number 5 is Black Mirror. No, Black Mirror. This is one of the more mature series, no, na dapat, no, panoorin to ng lahat ng tao. Parang at this point, it's a need, no, because it really educates you on the more timely issues, no, issues that are true and are happening right now sa generation natin. So, ayun. And ang kinagandahan ng Black Mirror is each episode is independent from all the other episodes, meaning episodic siya, no? Na for each episode, the story is contained with that episode. So, yung beginning and end niya, isang episode lang, 'di ba? So, you can watch any episode at any season na you don't need to worry kung may connect ba siya sa ibang episodes, as in wala. So parang pwede mo siyang i-treat na each episode is a movie. Parang ganun. So yun, try nyo yung Black Mirror kahit 2 or 3 lang. Tapos sure na mahuhook na kayo. My number 4th spot is an animated one. So Avatar, The Last Airbender, no? Si Aang and the gang. Yes, so I guess this is a very well-known series, no, na hindi ko in-expect na ganito siya kaganda. It's one of the more perfectly executed series, I think, no. Storytelling, very flawless. Yung story arcs, no, yung character development is sobrang buo, no, na para tong parang western style of storytelling plus bits of influences ng Japanese animation din, yung mga typical manga or anime, tas pinagsama, tas ang kinalabasan is Avatar, The Last Airbender. Sobrang epic, sobrang ganda, and I can't recommend it enough. Huwag nyo lang papanoorin yung live action film, sobrang sagwa na. And that leads us to my top 3 series of all time, no? And my number 3 is actually a comedy series, and this is quite, I think at this point medyo expected na masama to sa listahan, is Friends, no? I think this one started in 1995, kung hindi ko nagkakamali, pero ayun, pinapanood ko to dati sa Channel 5 eh. Tapos sumasabay lang ako doon sa kuya ko para panoorin. And nung pinapalabas siya sa Channel 5 noon, hindi ko pa masyadong nagigets lahat ng jokes, pero ayun. And then nung nag-high school na, humiram yung kuya ko ng VCD collection ng Friends doon sa isang kaibigan niya or kaklase niya. And then yun, binge watch namin. I think hanggang season 5 yun, yung nahiram niya. And, ayun, I guess for Friends, hindi na kailangan ng mahabang explanation bakit siya maganda. Parang, matic na, di ba? Isa itong series na sa mga automatic na, di ba? Parang cliche na siyang sabihin na maganda, pero it's a cliche for a reason, di ba? And moving to my number 2 pick is Breaking Bad, no? Breaking Bad. For Breaking Bad, for the longest time, hinold ko siyang panoorin kasi I didn't think na sobrang ganda niya. Pero, ayun nga, nung pinanood ko na, parang the hype is real. And there was a reason talaga kung bakit sobrang critically acclaimed niya and sobrang dami niyang nakuhang awards, diba? And it's one of those slow burn na series na yung mga seasons sobrang haba, diba? And it's quite daunting starting it kasi ayun nga, sobrang dami and sobrang haba ng mga episodes, pero sobrang sulit, promise. Parang the ending made it worthwhile, no? Yung ininvest mong time sa kanya, magiging worthwhile lahat sa last season. So ayun, I can't recommend it enough din na panoorin nyo, Breaking Bad. And then number 1 is Sherlock. yung BBC series, no? Starring Benedict Cumberbatch, diba? And sobrang ganda nito kasi it's a story of Sherlock Holmes pero yung setting niya is modern times na. So ang ginawa is they take the source material from the original Sherlock Holmes stories, no? And then convert nila para maging applicable siya sa time natin. Parang ganun. Na ayun nga, sobrang ganda. And it forces you to think then, no? And try to solve it yourself. Provided na hindi mo alam yung nangyayari, kundi mo naman binabasa yung mga Sherlock Holmes na stories, diba? And for this one, I think there will be a continuation of the story. Or I think it's renewed for season 4 na ba? Pero not until 2021 ata. So at least itutuloy siya, diba? Kasi akala ng mga fans dati, including me, is cancelled na siya kasi sobrang busy na yata ni Benedict Cumberbatch sa Hollywood, diba? Pero thankfully hindi naman. So magkakaroon pa ng other Sherlock episodes on the line. And sobrang okay nitong panoorin kasi each season parang meron lang 3 episodes, 'di ba? So sobrang bilis lang niyang i-catch up kung sakaling gusto siyang panoorin. So it's the complete opposite ng Breaking Bad na sobrang daming episodes. Ito naman sobrang konti pero sobrang sulit, 'di ba? So ayan, yun yung number 1 ko, Sherlock. So that wraps up yung top 15 series ko. So I'm actually curious kung yung listahan ko is somewhat similar sa listahan nyo, no? Ng top series nyo, pero similar dun sa naging top movies ko is yun. This is my personal taste, diba? And ayun nga, hopefully meron kayong natutunan or at least naging interested kayo sa mga ibang na-discuss ko sa listahan ko. Ayan. Let's go to our 3-in-1 questions now. Una, ano yung top series of all time mo? Pangalawa, favorite comedy series? Puwera sa Friends. Number 3, ano yung series na pinapanood mo ngayon? Siya nawa, na coffee break is over. Catch you in the next one. Cheers. Hey, this is Drei, and welcome to the Coffee Breakers Club podcast. This is episode 54 of this podcast, and thank you for joining me. Today, let's talk about my top anime/manga. So, as previously discussed dun sa last episode ko, I separated all the anime series as well as, let's say, manga series para sa episode na to kasi sobrang dami kong mga naging favorite, so it might have dominated the last episode where I listed all my favorite TV series, no? So for this one naman, strictly anime series naman ito and some parts mga manga din. So for this one, I'll be considering them as one of the same because kasi not all manga is adapted into an anime and not all anime came from, say, a manga, diba? So, medyo may konting compromise dito na pagsasama ko na lang yung gumawa ganitong mga series, okay? So, combination of anime and manga to. So, I have listed 20, my top 20 anime/manga series. And I have read a lot more, pero nilimit ko na lang ng 20 kasi magiging sobrang haba nito kung sakali. So, similarly sa mga nauna kong episodes listing my favorite movies. And next yung series is mag-start tayo sa bottom, papuntang top, no? From 20 to the top 1. So at number 20, it's Zetman. Zetman. So, para kay Zetman, isa tong parang superhero series, no? Na parang Kamen Rider style na the protagonist transforms himself into this superhero and battles, say, monsters, no? Pero on how the story is delivered, no? It's quite different to sa mga Kamen Rider series na yung similarity nila is nag-e-end doon na nagtatransform yung bida. Pero sobrang different neto, and I recommend you trying it out. It's actually a quite of a mature story, no? Parang yung target audience neto is medyo 18 and up, let's say, kasi medyo graphic ito. May sexual content and everything, pero from beginning to end, it's quite gripping, no? And walang dull moments sa series na to. And yun, it already ended. So, it's a good read kung sakali. Kasi wala ka nang aantayin future chapters. Tapos na siya. Number 19 is Kimetsu no Yaiba, or mas kilala natin as Demon Slayer, dahil dun sa anime adaptation niya na at the time of this recording, naka season 1 pa lang, 'di ba? Pero sa manga tapos na to, kakatapos lang niya this year. So if you want to complete the story, no, pwede nyo nang basahin ngayon before pa lumabas yung eventual movie, no, yung Infinite Train arc hanggang ending. Kasi mas ma-appreciate mo yung story para sa akin kapag nabasa mo muna yung manga tapos makikita mo siyang ma-animate. Parang mas malalim yung relationship kumbaga mo sa series. So yun, Kimetsu no Yaiba, it's animated really well, no? Sobrang taas ng production value. Maganda rin yung mga theme songs and music, na yung mga background music and everything. Sobrang kalidad talaga ng series na to. And it's quite nice kasi hindi nila pinahaba yung kwento nung author, nung mangaka. Hindi niya pinahaba yung storya. Parang she told the story that she wanted. So tinapos niya agad, 'di ba? So much appreciated. Hindi din drag out. Number 18 is Siren, no? So this is a shonen manga na wala ring anime adaptation but could have easily given one, given the style of it, and it came from the same magazine as, say, Kimetsu no Yaiba, no? One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, which is Shonen Jump. So yung listahan ko, sobrang dami mga Shonen Jump series dito na I guess dahil yun yung mga nagustuhan kong mga manga growing up, no? And anime series. Pero yes, Siren is similar sa mga ganong klaseng series. So it's a battle manga, no? Merong mga powers and everything. But for this one, ang special sa kanya is they actually introduce some aspect of a game na parang they are inside of a game where they are being summoned into this parallel universe or a parallel world, and then dun sila naglalaban-laban. It's very interesting. Highly recommended then to try out kasi nga walang anime ito, so I'm not expecting a lot of people knowing about it. Number 17 is Full Metal Alchemist. Kung anime yung pinag-uusapan, yung Brotherhood, kasi mas consistent ito do sa mga nangyayari sa manga, no? Mas faithful yung adaptation. But yes, no. I think Full Metal Alchemist is really, really famous, and there's a lot of people that really likes it na halos nasa top 3 or top 1 ito sa mga ibang listahan, no? Sa akin kasi medyo nahuli akong na-hook sa FMA na hindi ako nasabay dun sa hype ng ng mga tao nung siya yung pinaka-current or sinabayan yung paglabas niya. Medyo na-late ako sa pag-nonood sa kanya. So, I guess that contributed. Kaya medyo hindi siya nasama sa top 10 or top 5 ko. Ganun. Pero, it's still, good enough for it to be included sa pinaka-listahan ko. Diba? Number 16 is Bakuman. So, for Bakuman, this is drawn and authored by the same people that gave us Death Note, no? So, same mangaka and storyteller or writer. And quite surprisingly, it's different. It's super different from Death Note kasi it follows the story of two people going into the manga making profession. Okay, so parang feeling ko nga it's a representation of the actual people who made it. Parang ganun, no? Parang in a way, autobiography nila without saying it's actually them. Parang ganun. And I think this has an anime, pero hindi ko pinanood sa anime ito. Strictly, binasa ko lang siya sa manga. Number 15 ko is One Punch Man, no? So, for One Punch Man, nag-start ako sa kanya dun sa on how it's originally released. Siya, webcomic siya, no? Before siyang ma-adapt into a manga and eventually ma-adapt into an anime series. So, hanggang ngayon, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung paglabas ng mga web series or web cartoon, web comic, whatever you want to call them. Pero, ayun, tuloy-tuloy pa rin and it's drawn by, One, O-N-E. So, yun yung niya, yung pen name niya or something like that, diba? But yeah, One Punch Man sobrang quality din. It's very different in terms of it's a battle manga, pero sa totoo lang, it's a gag manga or a gag anime na parang joke only lang, diba? Pero sobrang epic ng mga fight scenes. Number 14 ko is actually quite new. I think nag-start ang manga nito 2016, I think. It's very new. And wala pa tong anime adaptation, pero meron na siyang live action film about this manga. It's called The Fable. So The Fable, it follows the story of an assassin, an underground hitman, and was forced to live an ordinary life sa Osaka, parang ganun. So, sobrang interesting, and it's actually a dark comedy series. So, kung mahilig kayo sa mga dark comedy, try nyo yung The Fable. Number 13 is Gantz. So, Gantz, ang dami na ng nito anime, OVA, mga CGI movies, live action movies din meron. So, sobrang sikat ng series na to. And for a reason. Kasi sobrang ganda talaga niya ng Gantz. The story is quite ridiculous, pero sobrang benta kasi sobrang exciting and interesting. And I would highly encourage you to try the manga out kasi sa manga meron na siyang ending and the ending is quite spectacular, to say the least. My number 12 is Hunter x Hunter, diba? Tawag natin mga Pinoy dito sa Hunter x Hunter, pero you can omit the X, then pwedeng tawagin itong Hunter Hunter, pero hindi ako sanay, so Hunter x Hunter. Actually, nung bata ako, tawag ko dito Hunter X lang, Hunter X. So, ayun, there's no denying naman on how great the series is, diba? And it's one of those series din na sa ibang listahan sobrang up nito. The only thing that I don't like about it, kaya medyo bumaba siya sa ranking, is because of its release dates, no? Up until now, nasa hiatus ito, so walang nagre-release ng chapters na sobrang tagal na. And hindi natin alam kung mag-e-end ito or hindi. So that is a bummer, especially on how good it is actually, no? So kung medyo mas consistent sana yung release ng chapters nito, it will definitely go higher, at least sa top 5 ko, I think, no? Pero as it stands now, nasa top 12 ko siya, Hunter x Hunter. Number 11 ko is Gundam Wing. And andito sa spot na to ang Gundam Wing because of nostalgia. I believe this is the first Gundam series that I've watched, no, and I really liked. Parang I love the idea of having 5 different Gundams na sila yung bida. Tapos iba-iba pa yung forte ng bawat Gundam na to, 'di ba? So, ayun, sobrang addictive na ito to the point na nung ngayon lang, parang around 5 years ago or 5 years ba? 3. Basta, bumuo ako ng mga gunpla and yung mga binuo ko galing lang lahat sa Gundam Wing series. Kinumpleto ko lang sila. Tapos, after some time, binenta ko na rin. Tinigil ko yung hobby kasi mahal. So, that is my 11th spot, Gundam Wing. So, going to my top 10, which is Anohana. Na for Anohana, ito naman yung isa sa mga series na walang manga, na direct lang ito na anime. Pero ito yung this is something different from almost all of the series that I've talked about so far, na puro mga laban-laban, 'di ba? It's more of nakakaiyak na series, and it's a great change of pace for me kasi nga mas trip ko nga yung mga battle manga and battle anime. But for this one, it's actually good coming of age story, no? And yeah, sabi ko nga nakakaiyak. So kung gusto nyong umiyak, try nyo yung Anohana. 11 episodes lang siya, so sobrang bilis lang. And then meron din siya live action movie, pero mas maganda pa rin yung anime in my opinion. And yes, I think this is the only one na ganong klaseng genre na anime sa listahan ko. So it's really special. For my number 9, it's Shingeki no Kyojin, or mas kilala natin sa Attack on Titan, diba? Sa name na Attack on Titan. So, yeah, I mean, this is quite popular, no? And it doesn't need any more introduction. The only thing is, I implore you to try the manga out, na sobrang iba din yung experience ng manga na ito versus sa anime, no? Na it's another dimension of the story na worthwhile gawin for me. And I think malapit na magtapos ito sa manga, and the anime, yung season 4 nito sa December of this year, will be the last season. So, very exciting. So, going to my number 8 or top 8 is actually Dragon Ball Z, no? Na this might have upset a few of you na sobrang favorite ang Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball. And for the longest time, ito rin yung isa sa mga favorite ko, at least top 3. Lalong-lalo na nung hindi ko pa na-discover yung manga. Kung strictly anime lang, sobrang taas nito. Pero since nga, nabasa ko yung mga manga, ganon. And then eventually, dahil sa mga manga na yun, may na-discover pa akong iba't ibang mga series, diba? Like Fable, Siren, kanyan. At iba-iba pa. Lalo na dun sa mga upper selections ko mamaya is bumaba yung rank ng Dragon Ball Z sa akin. Pero again, isa to sa mga top kasi nostalgia, tsaka yung influence niya, not just here in the Philippines pero globally, no? Globally, isa to sa mga pinaka-top talaga. So, sobrang okay, diba? Number 7 ko is Slam Dunk, no? Si Sakuragi, diba? And similarly with Dragon Ball Z, sobrang din ito, sobrang laki din ng following, especially in Japan. Sobrang considered ito as one of the best manga series, no? So, ayun, and I agree na isa nga to sa mga dahilan kung bakit ang daming nahilig sa basketball, no? Lalo na sa mga ka-generation ko. So, Slam Dunk. Number 6 is Code Geass, yung Lelouch of the Rebellion, no? Una ko tong napanood sa ABC5 din. And I didn't expect it to be that good. Kasi nung una ko siya nakita, akala ko parang Gundam rip-off lang, no? And then yung mga drawing sobrang gagwapo at gaganda. ng mga character design. So akala ko din geared towards the female demographic yung anime na to. Pero to my surprise, sobrang epic pala niya. Na it has a little bit of everything, no? So kung mahilig ka sa mga robot, meron sila. Kung mahilig ka sa mga cute na characters, meron sila. Kung gusto mo naman yung nag-iisip, 'di ba? Yung medyo mind-bending mystery, meron din siya. So sobrang well-rounded ng anime na to. And ayun, walang manga ito nung una. Parang straight up anime siya na quite rare na magkaroon ng straight anime series na sobrang patok sa mga tao. Usually kasi nanggagaling talaga sa mga manga, yung mga magagandang anime din. Sa 5th place ko is Berserk. Berserk. This one naman din is isa to sa mga manga series na sobrang taas din ng ranking sa mga ibang listahan. Pero sa akin number 5, which is I think super high din naman, 'di ba? Pero most of the time number 1, number 2 or number 3 ito sa mga ibang listahan. Nabasa ko lang itong Berserk this year. And bininge ko siya. Parang nabasa ko lang lahat parang in a week, in a week of reading. And ayun, there's no surprise there na sobrang ganda talaga niya. And it's not for kids, no? This manga series is not for kids. So, be warned na medyo, I think 18 and up yung manga na to. Pero, yes, it's one of the best. Berserk at number 5. So, number 4 ko is Ghost Fighter, no? Yung anime. Sa manga, it's called Yu Yu Hakusho, no? So, same author or mangaka ng Hunter x Hunter, 'di ba? Pero number 4 ko siya kasi dumadagdag dito yung nostalgia talaga. Na it even surpassed Dragon Ball for me. So ganun siya ka-influential sa akin, yung Ghost Fighter at my number 4 spot. And that leads us to my top 3, no? And this top 3 na to is para sa akin tied sila lahat sa number 1, no? Ganun ko sila kamahal. Sobrang hirap na i-rank sila sa totoo lang, pero para magkaroon ng kaayusan, nirank ko na rin sila. Pero again, they could have been easily tied at number 1 for me. So number 3 na lang is Death Note, no? Death Note, especially the anime. Feeling ko mas na-appreciate ko siya sa anime versus dun sa manga, no? And the anime, I think it's 50 episode long, no? And this is one of the anime na nire-recommend ko sa mga non-anime watchers, na kapag sinabi lang hindi sila mahilig sa anime, ito yung anime na nire-recommend ko kasi it's different from the anime that they are thinking of, like Dragon Ball, ganyan, Ghost Fighter, 'di ba? Naruto, Bleach. Sobrang iba siya, no? And yes, I can't really effectively put into words kung bakit sobrang ganda ng Death Note, pero believe me, sobrang ganda ng Death Note, no? Just try it out. At my second spot is Vagabond. Vagabond has the same mangaka ng Slam Dunk, si Takehiko Inoue, no? So same mangaka ng Slam Dunk. Pero this one is not a sports manga. Actually, siya, samurai manga siya, no? Samurai. Pero sobrang ganda ng art neto, na each chapter, no, each page is a work of art. So ganung level of quality, no? And yung makikita mo talaga yung talent ni Takehiko Inoue dito, showcasing his talent talaga. And he drew this using a brush and not a pen, so that is a bonus. Sobrang galing. Ayun, so kung kung trip mo yung Samurai X, gano'n, try mo to. Try mo yung Vagabond. It's actually grounded to reality. Yung kung paano tumatakbo yung story at saka yung mga fight scenes, no? So, again, this is one of the manga naman that I recommend, no? Ito yung top manga that I recommend to non-manga readers. Yung parang walang hilig sa anime, walang hilig sa manga, nire-recommend ko pa rin ito. Kasi sobrang universal, no? Nung storytelling niya na I think madaming mahuhook kung susubukan lang. And for my number 1 is actually fitting kasi it's actually One Piece. And nasabi ko kanina na the other two like Death Note and Vagabond could be easily aligned din sa number 1 spot ko. Pero come to think of it, no? Parang One Piece pa rin na I could easily stop everything else on this list. Pero hindi ko i-stop yung pagbasa sa One Piece. And it's because I've already invested so much time, no, with this series na I'm really into deep na sa story, sa world building, sa characters that na kumbaga ito yung manga or anime series ko na I would gladly have my future children watch with me. Parang ganon, no? And not surprisingly, One Piece is really, really popular, diba? It's actually the highest selling manga series sa Japan, no? And I think even Guinness, yung world records, diba? Has recognized One Piece din in terms of sales ata, no? And being the most consecutive one being at the number 1 spot, parang ganun. And ayun, sobrang genius kasi ni Oda, yung author neto or mangaka neto, na ang daming foreshadows, ang daming continuity, consistency sa story. Sobrang rare ng ganitong klaseng story in any medium, no? So, I can't rave enough for One Piece, no? Pero One Piece is number 1 for me. And yun, that concludes my top anime/manga list, no? And sabi ko nga kanina, it's kind of dominated with Shonen Jump series, pero I think there is enough of assortment here or variety here na it's a very well-rounded list na merong mature, merong comedy lang, merong fight manga, merong nakakaiyak, merong sobrang artsy, ganun. And yeah, any of this series on this list, I would highly recommend of you trying it out. Lalong-lalo na doon sa mga medyo unknown or not that popular here in the Philippines, no? Unahin nyo na yung Vagabond tsaka Berserk siguro. Ayun. With that, let's go to our 3-in-1 questions. Unang-una, ano yung pinaka-paborito mong anime series? Pangalawa, ano yung favorite anime series mo na nadub sa Filipino? Voltes 5 ba? Ganon. And lastly, ano yung anime series na pinapanood mo ngayon? Ngayon, siya nawa. The coffee break is over. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.